The Great Hall of the Galactic Council stretched for nearly a kilometer, its crystalline walls reflecting the light of 1,000 stars. Representatives from 47 different species sat in their designated chambers, some breathing oxygen, others floating in methane tanks, and a few existing as pure energy within containment fields. At the very back in the smallest chamber sat Ambassador Chen Wei of Earth. Chen watched as the council debated. They had been debating for 3 weeks now. The Zirkath Dominion had attacked another frontier colony, this time belonging to the insectoid Taraki species. 12,000 dead. The holographic images showed burning cities and Taraki children running through smoke-filled streets. The Vorath High Speaker, a being made entirely of living crystal that refracted light into rainbow patterns, spoke in its slow ancient voice. We must consider all diplomatic options before taking action. The Zirkath are a sovereign power. We cannot simply invade their territory. Chen leaned forward. High Speaker, with respect, they have killed over 200,000 sentient beings in the last year alone. How many more must die while we debate? The chamber fell silent. Then laughter echoed through the hall. Not cruel laughter, but the kind adults give to children who say something naive. The Kaluvian ambassador, whose species had traveled the stars for 50,000 years, spoke with amusement in his voice. Young human, you have been part of this council for only 15 years. We have maintained galactic peace for 10 millennia. Your species still fights with kinetic weapons and chemical propellants. You do not understand the complexity of interstellar politics. More laughter rippled through the chamber. Chen felt his jaw tighten, but he said nothing. This was not the first time the council had dismissed humanity. It would not be the last. Earth had joined the galactic community in 2232 after developing faster-than-light travel. The discovery had been accidental. A quantum physics experiment in orbit around Mars had torn open a small wormhole. Within months, Earth scientists had replicated the effect. Within years, humanity had traveled to other star systems. The Galactic Council had welcomed Earth with the enthusiasm one might show a toddler joining a university faculty meeting. Humanity was young. Humanity was primitive. Humanity used bullets and missiles instead of plasma and energy weapons. Their ships were built from metal instead of grown from living compounds. Their AI was crude. Their culture was barely past the tribal stage. The elder species smiled politely at Earth's representatives and then ignored them. Chen had served as ambassador for 3 years. 3 years of watching bureaucracy strangle action. 3 years of seeing the council debate while species died. The Zirkath Dominion operated just beyond council space, raiding frontier worlds for resources and slaves. They were brutal and efficient, and they were growing bolder. Perhaps, Chen said quietly, Earth could assist in defending the frontier worlds. We have military resources. Military resources. The Vorath High Speaker's voice carried clear condescension. Humanity's entire fleet consists of what? 300 vessels? The Council's combined forces number in the hundreds of thousands. Your weapons are barely capable of breaching modern shielding. We appreciate the offer, Ambassador Chen, but leave warfare to those who understand it. The session ended as it always did, with a committee being formed to study the problem. Chen gathered his data tablets and walked through the corridors of the council station. He passed Kaluvian diplomats who had witnessed the rise and fall of entire civilizations. He passed Vorath, whose individual crystals were older than human civilization. He passed species whose names he still could not pronounce. None of them looked at him. Back in Earth's small diplomatic suite, Chen composed his daily report. The council refuses to act, he wrote. The Zirkath grow bolder. I recommend we begin defensive preparations for our frontier colonies. He sent the report through the quantum communication network and stared out at the stars. Earth had 7 colony worlds now. Mars and Europa were fully terraformed. New Horizon, orbiting a star 70 light-years from Earth, held 87,000 human colonists. They were farmers, teachers, engineers, and children. They had left Earth seeking a new future among the stars. Chen wondered if the council would even notice if the Zirkath attacked a human world. Would they form another committee? Would they offer polite condolences? 2 weeks later, Chen got his answer. The alert came during a council session. A junior aide rushed into the chamber, something that violated a dozen protocols. The Vorath High Speaker began to reprimand the aide, but then saw the expression on the young Benish's face. New Horizon, the aide whispered. but in the acoustically perfect chamber everyone heard. The Zircath have attacked New Horizon. Chen's blood turned to ice. His fingers moved across his data tablet, accessing the quantum feeds from the colony. What he saw made his stomach twist. Zircath warships in orbit, bombardment beams cutting through cities, evacuation ships exploding as they tried to escape, ground forces slaughtering anyone who remained. The feed lasted 17 minutes. Then it went dark. 17 minutes. 87,000 people gone. The council chamber erupted in shocked murmurs. The Vorath High Speaker turned its crystalline form toward Chen. Ambassador, we extend our deepest condolences to Earth and the families of those lost. We will immediately form a committee to investigate this atrocity and determine the appropriate diplomatic response. Chen stood slowly. His hands were shaking, but not from grief. From rage. Thank you, High Speaker, he said quietly. Too quietly. Earth will handle this matter internally. He walked out of the chamber without being dismissed, another protocol violation. Behind him, he heard the council returning to their debates. Chen sent one message to Earth. They have killed our children. The response came back within an hour. Just 2 words from the President of United Earth. No mercy. The galaxy did not know it yet, but everything had changed. President Maria Santos stood before the holographic display in the war room deep beneath Geneva. Around her, the Joint Chiefs of Staff waited in silence. The display showed the smoldering ruins of New Horizon. Bodies lined the streets. Buildings had collapsed into rubble. The Zircath had been thorough. How long to mobilize? Santos asked. Admiral James Kutcher stepped forward. 48 hours, Madam President. We can have the first fleet battle ready and en route within 2 days. The Council will object, said General Zhang, head of Earth's Marine Forces. They will demand we follow diplomatic channels. Santos turned from the display. Her eyes were hard. The Council had years to stop the Zircath. They chose committees over action. They chose debate over lives. Ambassador Chen has sent his recommendation. I agree with it. Earth acts alone. She moved to the communications console. Get me a direct link to every council member world. I will address the galaxy. 20 minutes later, trillions of beings across hundreds of worlds watched as the President of Earth appeared on their screens. There was no formal greeting, no diplomatic courtesy. Santos spoke with the bluntness that had made her famous. People of the galaxy, she began. 6 hours ago, the Zircath Dominion attacked the human colony of New Horizon. They murdered 87,000 civilians, men, women, and children. They did this not for conquest or resources, but because they could, because they knew the Galactic Council would do nothing but talk. She paused, letting her words sink in. For 15 years, Earth has followed Council protocols. We have been patient. We have been diplomatic. We have watched as the Zircath killed hundreds of thousands across dozens of worlds. We offered our help. You laughed at us. You called our military primitive. You told us to leave war to those who understand it. Santos leaned closer to the camera. You were right about one thing. You do not understand war, not the way humanity does. We did not ask for this conflict, but we will finish it. The Zircath have taken our children. They have crossed a line written in blood and fire. We will make them answer for it. The transmission ended. Across the galaxy, beings stared at their screens in shock. Earth had just declared war without Council approval. It was unprecedented. It was against every protocol and treaty. Within hours, the Galactic Council convened an emergency session. The Vorath High Speaker's crystalline form glowed with anger. This is unacceptable. Earth cannot take military action without Council authorization. They are a probationary member. They must be sanctioned immediately. Ambassador Chen sat calmly in Earth's chamber. Are you finished, High Speaker? How dare you speak to me in such a manner? Your species, my species, just lost 87,000 people. Chen interrupted, his voice like ice. While you debated, they died. While you formed committees, they burned. You had your chance to protect the innocent. You failed. Now you will witness what happens when you force humanity to protect its own. The Coluvian ambassador spoke, his ancient voice trying to sound reasonable. Ambassador Chen, we understand your pain, but Earth's military is not equipped for this. The Zircath are a powerful force. Your weapons are primitive. Your tactics are untested against modern warfare. You will lose thousands of lives for nothing. Stand down. Let the Council handle this properly. Chen smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. You think you know Earth's capabilities. You think you understand human military doctrine. You are wrong. You have never asked about our weapons. You assumed you knew. That was your first mistake. He activated a holographic display. The council watched as data scrolled past. Fusion torpedo specifications, railgun battleship schematics, AI-coordinated drone swarm systems, kinetic orbital strike platforms capable of accelerating projectiles to relativistic speeds. The chamber went silent. You see, Chen continued, while you laughed at our kinetic weapons, we perfected them. While you relied on energy shields, we developed weapons that bypass them through sheer force. While your fleets take months to mobilize, ours move in days. You thought we were primitive. We let you think that. High orbit above Earth looked like a disturbed ant colony. Ships that had been in reserve suddenly activated. Military stations that had seemed empty now teemed with activity. The United Earth Navy had been building quietly for years, preparing for a threat the Council refused to acknowledge. The UEN Indomitable was a Titan-class battleship, measuring 2 kilometers long and bristling with weapons. Captain Sarah Okonkwo walked onto the bridge, her dark eyes scanning the readiness reports. Born in Lagos, raised in the Mars colonies, trained at the Naval Academy in Luna City, she had worked her entire career for this moment. Not for glory, not for war, but to protect humanity when no one else would. All ships report ready, Captain, said Commander Park from the weapons station. Fleet status? Okonkwo asked. 120 ships ready for immediate deployment, 40 more joining within 12 hours. The second fleet is mobilizing as backup. Okonkwo nodded. The Council thought humanity had 300 ships. They were wrong. Earth had been building in secret, in asteroid shipyards far from prying eyes. The United Earth Navy numbered over 800 vessels with more under construction. Set course for Zircath space, she ordered. Maximum speed. No stops. The Indomitable's engines flared to life, tearing open a wormhole in space. Behind it, 119 other ships followed, their hulls painted with the blue and white insignia of Earth. Back on the Council station, Ambassador Chen received another furious summons. The elder species demanded Earth stand down. They threatened sanctions. They promised to expel humanity from the Council. Chen listened patiently. When they finished, he spoke one sentence. You had your chance. Then he walked out. In the Zircath capital, War Master Krell watched the tactical displays with amusement. His intelligence reported that Earth was sending ships. Good. It would be enjoyable to crush them. Humanity thought themselves warriors. They would learn the difference between children playing at war and true predators. He had conquered 12 species. Earth would be the 13th. Krell ordered his fleets to the border. Let the humans come. Let them break themselves against Zircath might. Then he would finish what he started at New Horizon. He would burn Earth itself. But as his ships moved into position, a strange report came from his scouts. The human fleet was not slowing down. They were not forming defensive positions or requesting negotiations. They were accelerating, coming straight at Zircath space like bullets fired from a gun. For the first time in his long military career, War Master Krell felt something unfamiliar. Doubt. The first battle of the war happened at the edge of Zircath space, near a dead star system they used as a staging ground. War Master Krell had positioned 70 warships in a standard defensive formation, their energy shields glowing like blue soap bubbles in the darkness of space. Captain Okonkwo stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, watching the enemy fleet on her displays. The Zircath ships were larger than Earth vessels, their hulls covered in organic armor that could regenerate damage. Their plasma cannons could melt through most materials. On paper, they outgunned humanity. But war was not fought on paper. All ships begin attack pattern Delta 7, Okonkwo ordered calmly. Release the swarms. From every human ship, hatches opened. What emerged looked like a cloud of metallic. Insects, thousands upon thousands of small drones, each no larger than a human fist. They moved with insect-like coordination, guided by quantum-linked AI systems. The Zircath opened fire with their plasma cannons. The beams cut through space, destroying hundreds of drones, but for every one destroyed, 10 more took its place. The swarm descended on the enemy fleet like locusts. The drones were not designed to destroy ships. They were designed to overwhelm shields. Each drone carried a small explosive charge. Individually, they were harmless, but thousands of them detonating simultaneously against a shield created cascading failures. The first Zircath shield collapsed, then the second, then the third. "Railguns fire," Okonkwo said. The Indomitable shuddered as its main railgun fired. The weapon used electromagnetic force to accelerate a tungsten projectile to incredible speeds. No explosion, no plasma. Just a metal slug moving at a significant fraction of light speed. The projectile hit the first Zircath ship dead center. The kinetic energy was so immense that it punched completely through the vessel, entering the bow and exiting the stern. The ship did not explode. It simply stopped functioning, its internal systems pulverized by the impact. Across the battlefield, human ships fired their railguns. One after another, Zircath vessels went dark. The Galactic Council watched from observation. Drones, their feeds transmitted across the galaxy. Trillions of beings watched human warfare for the first time. What they saw shocked them. Galactic warfare was formal, almost ritualistic. Ships maintained respectful distances. Energy weapons tested shields. Battles lasted days or weeks. There were rules, protocols, honor. Humanity had none of that. Human ships moved aggressively, closing to ranges that other species considered suicidal. They used AI-coordinated attacks that adapted in real time to enemy responses. They targeted weak points with surgical precision. And when Zircath ships tried to flee, human vessels pursued like wolves chasing prey. The battle lasted 37 minutes. 70 Zircath warships entered the fight. 12 escaped. The rest were floating debris. The human fleet had lost 4 ships. Warmaster Krell stared at his tactical displays in his command center, unable to believe what he was seeing. Impossible. Humanity was supposed to be weak, primitive. How had they done this? "Send a message to the Council," Krell ordered his communications officer. "Tell them to control their attack dogs before we are forced to respond with overwhelming force." But even as he gave the order, Krell knew the truth. Humanity was not going to stop, and the Zircath might not be able to stop them. Captain Okonkwo did not celebrate the victory. 87,000 humans were still dead. This was only the beginning. "Set course for the Zircath colony at Kepler 442, she ordered. "We are taking the war to them." The human fleet jumped to hyperspace, leaving the wreckage behind. But Okonkwo had left something else. A message broadcast on all frequencies in multiple languages. "You killed our children. Now you face their parents. There will be no mercy. There will be no negotiation. There will be justice." The message spread across Zircath space. Some commanders laughed. Others prepared their defenses. A few felt something they had never experienced before. Fear. The Battle of Kepler 442 became famous across the galaxy. The Zircath had fortified the planet extensively, turning it into a military stronghold. Orbital defense platforms, planetary shields, ground-based missile batteries. It was supposed to be impregnable. The human fleet arrived and immediately split into 3 groups. The first group engaged the orbital defenses directly, drawing their fire. The second group deployed electronic warfare drones that jammed Zircath communications and sensors. The third group did something the galaxy had never seen before. They dropped rocks. Not metaphorical rocks. Actual asteroids, captured from the system's outer belt and accelerated using massive engines. The asteroids were not aimed at cities or military bases. They were aimed at the planetary shield generators. Each asteroid weighed millions of tons. Each moved at tremendous velocity. When they hit the shields, the energy release was equivalent to nuclear weapons. The shields flickered, failed, and collapsed. Then the human fleet moved in. "All civilian targets are off limits," Okonkwo ordered her fleet. "Military installations only. We are not the Zircath. We do not murder innocents." The battle was brutal. Human marines dropped onto the planet's surface in armored pods, fighting through Zircath defensive positions. The fighting was close and ugly. Humanity lost 23 ships and over 3,000 marines. But when the smoke cleared, Kepler 442 had fallen. The Zircath fortress world, a symbol of their military might, now flew Earth's flag. The Galactic Council convened another emergency session. The Vorath High Speaker was nearly incoherent with rage. This is barbarism. Earth used kinetic bombardment on a populated world. They have committed war crimes. Ambassador Chen stood before the council, his expression cold. War crimes? The Zircath killed 87,000 unarmed civilians on New Horizon. They have enslaved entire species. They have razed worlds. Where were your war crimes tribunals then? He activated a holographic display showing atrocities the Zircath had committed against other species. Massacres the Council had diplomatically ignored for decades. Genocides that had been filed away in reports that no one read. We targeted military installations, Chen continued. We warned civilians to evacuate. We followed rules of engagement that your species abandoned long ago in favor of comfortable ignorance. You call us barbaric because we act while you debate. You call us criminals because we defend the innocent while you protect protocols. The younger species in the Council, those who had suffered under Zircath raids, began to murmur among themselves. The Taraki ambassador stood, her insectoid features clicking with emotion. Ambassador Chen speaks truth. My people lost 12,000 to the Zircath last month. The Council offered condolences. Earth offers action. The Benish representative rose next. For 30 years we have asked for protection. For 30 years we were told to wait for diplomatic solutions. How many more must die while we wait? The council chamber erupted in arguments. The elder species demanded Earth be sanctioned. The younger species demanded the council actually do something about the Zircath. The galactic government, which had stood for 10,000 years, was fracturing. And in Zircath space, War Master Krell received casualty reports. His fleets were being systematically destroyed. His fortress worlds were falling. The humans were not slowing down. They were not interested in negotiation. They wanted blood. For the first time in his life, Krell understood what true war meant. Not the ritualized combat of the galactic species, but the desperate, brutal struggle for survival that humanity had perfected over millennia, of fighting itself. He sent a message, not to his emperor but to the Galactic Council. Stop them, he transmitted. In the name of mercy, stop the humans before they exterminate us all. The emergency session of the Galactic Council had been going for 6 hours straight. Outside the crystalline windows, stars wheeled slowly through space. Inside, civilizations argued about the fate of the galaxy. The Vorath High Speaker's form pulsed with colors that indicated extreme agitation. Earth must cease this campaign immediately. They have violated every principle of galactic warfare. They use weapons of mass destruction. They strike without warning. They show no mercy. Ambassador Chen sat calmly in Earth's chamber, letting the elder species vent their fear. Because that was what this was, not outrage but terror. The galaxy was learning that humanity was not a child to be patronized. They were a predator that had been leashed by choice, not necessity. The Kaluvian ambassador, whose species was older than most stars, spoke with forced calm. Ambassador Chen, surely you see reason. The Zircath are requesting negotiations. They are willing to make reparations for New Horizon. Why continue this bloodshed? Chen stood slowly. He had been waiting for this moment. Reparations. His voice echoed through the chamber. What reparations can bring back 87,000 lives? What amount of currency can restore a child to her parents? He activated the holographic display. Images filled the chamber. Images the council had carefully avoided looking at for years. Zircath slave markets where beings were sold like animals. Mass graves on conquered worlds. Documented atrocities spanning 3 decades. For 30 years the Zircath have terrorized the frontier. For 30 years you have known. The Taraki brought you evidence. The Benish pleaded for help. The Kular showed you recordings of their cities burning. And what did you do? Chen's voice grew harder. You formed committees. You commissioned studies. You debated and discussed and deliberated while millions died. When we offered to help, you laughed. When we warned you the Zircath were growing bolder, you told us to leave galactic affairs to our betters. The Vorath tried to interrupt, but Chen raised his hand. No, you will listen. You had your chance. For 15 years, Earth followed your protocols. We were patient. We were diplomatic. We believed in the system you created. Then the Zircath murdered our people and we learned the truth. He pointed at the holographic images. Your system protects the comfortable. It sacrifices the vulnerable on the altar of bureaucracy. It allows monsters to flourish because taking action might be messy or politically complicated. Well, Earth is done with your system. The chamber erupted in protests. The Vorath accused Chen of disrespecting millennia of tradition. The Coluvian warned that Earth was destroying the foundations of galactic peace. Other elder species joined in, their voices overlapping in chaos. Then a new voice spoke. Small, quiet, but cutting through the noise. He is right. Everyone turned. The speaker was Ambassador Sirala of the Taraki, her insectoid features reflecting the light. She was young by galactic standards. Her species had only joined the Council 300 years ago. Ambassador Chen is right, she repeated, louder now. I have sat in this chamber for 20 years. 20 years of watching my people die while you debate. The humans act in days, you act in decades. Perhaps it is time we learned from them. The Benish ambassador rose next, his tentacles waving in agreement. My colony worlds have been raided 17 times. 17 times I came to this council for help, and 17 times I was told to be patient. I am done being patient. One by one, the younger species stood. The Kular, the Rendath, the Vokai, species that had suffered under Zirkath aggression while the council talked. They stood with Earth. The elder species looked at each other in shock. The council was splitting. The carefully maintained hierarchy of power was crumbling. Meanwhile, far across the galaxy, Captain Okonkwo's fleet had reached the Zirkath throne world. The planet Zirkath Prime hung in space like a red jewel, home to 3 billion beings, the capital of an empire that had conquered dozens of species. The Zirkath Defense Fleet was the largest concentration of military power they had ever assembled. 200 warships surrounded their homeworld. It should have been an impenetrable defense, but Okonkwo had not come to negotiate. All ships assume bombardment positions, she ordered. Target military installations only. If they surrender, we stop. If they fight, we finish this. The Zirkath fleet attacked. For 3 hours, space around the throne world became a storm of fire and metal. Human ships danced through the battle, their AI-coordinated movements impossible for organic crews to match. Railguns spoke with thunder. Missile swarms blotted out the stars. When the fighting ended, the Zirkath defense fleet was destroyed. Earth had lost 18 ships and 4,000 personnel, but they had won. Okonkwo opened a communication channel to the planet below. Her face appeared on every screen across Zirkath Prime, broadcast to every home and building. I am Captain Sarah Okonkwo of the United Earth Navy. Your fleets are destroyed. Your defenses have fallen. You have 1 hour to surrender unconditionally. If you do not, I will begin orbital bombardment of every military installation on this planet. We do not wish to harm civilians, but we will not allow this empire to continue its atrocities. She paused, letting her words sink in. You killed 87,000 of our people. We could kill 3 billion of yours. But we are not you. We are human. We believe in justice, not revenge. 1 hour. Choose wisely. In the Imperial Palace, Zirkath Emperor Vrask sat on his throne staring at the human on his screen. Around him, his advisors shouted conflicting advice. Some demanded they fight to the last. Others begged him to surrender. Vrask had ruled for 40 years. He had conquered 12 species. He had built an empire that stretched across 20 star systems. And now, in less than 3 months, it was ending. Not because of the Galactic Council's mighty fleets. Not because of some ancient enemy. Because of humans. Because of a species the galaxy had dismissed as primitive children. Send a message to the Council, Vrask said quietly. Tell them we surrender to Earth. Tell them to broker the negotiations. But when his ambassador contacted the Council, Ambassador Chen had only one response. The Council had its chance. Earth sets the terms now. Humanity's demands were non-negotiable. Complete disarmament of Zirkath military forces. Reparations to every species they had harmed. War crimes trials for military and political leadership. The dissolution of the Zirkath Dominion as a political entity. Full accountability, no exceptions. The Galactic Council tried to soften the terms. They spoke of mercy, of giving the Zirkath a path forward, of not being too harsh. Chen's response was cold. Where was this mercy when they enslaved the Taraki? Where was this compassion when they massacred Benesh children? The galaxy will learn that actions have consequences. Justice delayed is not justice at all. The Vorath threatened to sanction Earth. Several elder species spoke of expelling humanity from the Council. They painted Earth as warmongers, as barbarians who had destroyed galactic peace. But the younger species, the ones who had suffered, saw something different. They saw a species willing to act, willing to protect the innocent, willing to stand up to evil when others would not. The council fractured completely. The elder species retreated to their chambers, angry and afraid. The younger species formed a new block with Earth at its center. The galaxy would never be the same. 11 months after the attack on New Horizon, the war ended. Historians across the galaxy called it the shortest major conflict in recorded history. Previous council wars had dragged on for decades, sometimes centuries. The human campaign against the Zircath lasted less than a year. The costs were calculated and broadcast across every world. Humanity had lost 47,000 military personnel, brave men and women who had given their lives to protect not just Earth, but every species that had suffered under Zircath cruelty. Their names were recorded, their sacrifices honored, but the Zircath casualties numbered in the hundreds of thousands. Their military was completely destroyed. Their empire was dissolved, and for the first time in galactic history, leaders who had committed atrocities faced real justice. The trials were held on Earth, in The Hague, not in the Council's courts, where diplomatic immunity and procedural delays could stretch cases for decades. Human courts moved swiftly and decisively. Evidence was presented, witnesses testified, verdicts were reached. War Master Krell stood in the defendant's cage, his powerful frame diminished by defeat. He listened as victim after victim described what his forces had done. Taraki mothers whose children had been sold into slavery, Benesh farmers whose villages had been burned, human colonists who had survived New Horizon and watched their families die. When the verdict came, Krell showed no emotion. Guilty on all charges. Life imprisonment. He would spend the rest of his days in a human prison, remembering the empire he had lost. Emperor Vrask received the same sentence. So did 47 other Zircath commanders and political leaders. Justice, humanity proved, did not require centuries of debate. It required the will to act. The Galactic Council watched these trials with mixed emotions. The elder species saw them as barbaric and rushed. The younger species saw them as long overdue. Ambassador Chen stood before the reformed council 6 months after the war's end. The chamber looked different now. The Vorath High Speaker still sat in the highest position, but his voice no longer commanded automatic obedience. The younger species had found their voices. Earth has completed its mission, Chen announced. The Zircath Dominion is dissolved. War criminals have faced justice. We are prepared to return to normal diplomatic relations. The Vorath's crystalline form pulsed with barely contained anger. Normal relations? You have shattered millennia of tradition. You have shown the galaxy that might makes right. You have destroyed the very foundations of... We saved millions of lives, Ambassador Sirala of the Taraki interrupted. Her species had learned boldness from watching humanity. While you debated, humans acted. While you worried about protocol, they worried about people. Perhaps your traditions needed shattering. The Benesh ambassador agreed. The council failed us. Earth did not. Who should we trust? The chamber erupted in argument again, but Chen noticed something had changed. The younger species were not asking permission to speak anymore. They were demanding to be heard. Humanity had not just defeated the Zircath. They had shown other species that the old order could be challenged. President Santos addressed the council via hologram. Earth proposes the formation of a new organization, the Galactic Defense Coalition. Its purpose will be simple, to respond swiftly and decisively to threats against member species. No more committees. No more endless debates. When innocent lives are at stake, we act. The elder species protested immediately. The Vorath called it vigilantism. The Colluvian warned it would lead to chaos. But 43 species voted to join within the first week. The younger species, the vulnerable species, the ones who had been ignored for so long, they signed up immediately. Earth provided the military framework and training. Human officers began teaching alien forces modern warfare techniques. Human engineers shared weapons technology. Human diplomats showed how to make decisions quickly without sacrificing justice. The galaxy was learning that humanity's strength came not from brutality, but from their willingness to act when action was needed. Captain Okonkwo returned to Earth a hero. The President herself presented the Stellar Cross, humanity's highest military honor, in a ceremony watched by billions. Okonkwo stood in her dress uniform, medals gleaming on her chest, and spoke to the gathered crowd. "We did not want this war," she said, her voice steady. "We did not seek glory or conquest. We fought because innocents were dying and no one else would stop it. 47,000 of our brothers and sisters gave their lives in this campaign. They died so that others might live. That is what humanity stands for. Not the power to destroy, but the will to protect." The crowd erupted in cheers, but Okonkwo's expression remained solemn. War was not something to celebrate. It was something to remember, to learn from, and to prevent whenever possible. In orbit above Earth, a new space station was under construction. It would be called New Horizon Eternal, a memorial to the 87,000 colonists who had died. The station's main hall would bear every name, every face, every life that had been lost. Humanity would not forget them. Across the galaxy, colonies grew, human and alien settlements side by side, protected now by the Galactic Defense Coalition. The Taraki, who had lost so much to the Zirkath, began to rebuild, with human engineers helping construct their cities. The Banesh, who had lived in fear for generations, started to thrive under the protection of the new order. The elder species slowly adapted. The Vorath never truly accepted Earth's rise to prominence, but they learned to work with humanity. The Kaluvian, whose wisdom spanned millennia, admitted privately that perhaps young species could teach old ones new lessons. 2 years after the war, a young Taraki girl visited Earth on a school trip. She stood in the main hall of New Horizon Eternal, looking at the wall of names. Her teacher, a human named Sarah Chen, stood beside her. "Why does everyone respect humanity?" the girl asked in her clicking language. Sarah thought carefully before answering. "Because when the galaxy crossed the line, humanity showed everyone what true strength looks like. Not the power to destroy, though we have that, but the will to protect no matter the cost. We fought not for conquest, but for justice. We acted not from hatred, but from love for those who could not protect themselves." The Taraki girl looked at the names on the wall. 87,000 faces staring back at her. Farmers, teachers, engineers, children, people who had died simply because they existed. "Will there be more wars?" she asked quietly. "I hope not," Sarah replied. "But if there are, the galaxy knows now that they do not stand alone, that there are those willing to fight for them. And sometimes that knowledge is enough to prevent war." They stood together in silence, human and alien, looking at the memorial to those lost. Outside the station's windows, Earth hung in space, blue and green and beautiful. A world that had taught the galaxy an important lesson. That strength without compassion is tyranny, but compassion without strength is empty. Humanity had both. The galaxy had treated humanity as children when they first arrived, young, naive, primitive, but children grow up. And when they do, the universe learns to listen. In the council chambers, now reformed and more representative, Ambassador Chen stood one last time before stepping down from his position. He had served Earth for 5 years, 3 of them in war. He was ready to go home. "My replacement will arrive next week," he told the council. "I leave you with this thought. Earth did not seek to lead the galaxy. We sought to protect it. The difference matters. We will always stand ready to defend the innocent. We will always act when others will not. That is our promise. That is humanity's gift to the stars." He walked out of the chamber to applause from the younger species. The elder species sat in silence, contemplating a galaxy that had changed forever. On Earth, in a small cemetery in Lagos, a woman named Amara Okonkwo placed flowers on her son's grave. Private First Class James Okonkwo, killed in action at Kepler 442. He had been 23 years old. "They say we won," she whispered to the stone. "They say the galaxy is safer now. I hope they are right. I hope your sacrifice meant something." The sun set over the cemetery, painting the sky in shades of orange and red. Across the galaxy, on 100 worlds, beings lived in peace because humans like James had been willing to die for justice. That was humanity's true strength. Not their weapons, not their tactics, but their willingness to sacrifice themselves so that others, even strangers from alien worlds, might live in peace. The galaxy had crossed the line, and they had learned what happened when you threatened Earth's children. They had witnessed humanity's strength, and they would never forget it.